Your lungs are rotting from promethium smog. The Imperium doesn't care. Tomorrow, your spot on the assembly line will be filled by your clone, or a servitor. You go to an underground house of mercy. They tell you it's charity. A priest in a gray robe gives you a thick broth to drink. The pain vanishes instantly. You think it's a miracle. You think you're cured. You're wrong. The Fidei strain, a sentient warp infection, just woke up inside you. It intentionally suppresses your cough and hides your sores. The disease is waiting until you infect as many people as possible. You're not a patient. You're an incubator. Your only job now is to go back to your overcrowded hab block and just breathe on your neighbors. Welcome to the cult of Grandfather Nurgle. There are no ways back, and this is your hierarchy. Level 1. The Vector Mortal Cults. Nurgle sects aren't a mob of screaming lunatics with knives. They are a highly organized biological syndicate. Take the Callers of Sorrow, a perfect structure, 8 autonomous cells, strains. You are in one, and you don't even know the others exist. At the top sits the Preceptor. He's been alive for hundreds of years. The Inquisition might come tomorrow. They might burn 90% of your network and purge entire hab blocks. It doesn't matter. As long as the heart of the cult lives, the system regenerates. The cult feeds on the despair of the hive. When institutions collapse, when the words about the Emperor's protection lose their meaning, Nurgle's embrace remains the only form of salvation many will ever know. Cultists secretly poison water supplies, destroy food silos, and release weaponized viruses, preparing the ground for an uprising. A corrupt official looks the other way at the right moment. A cook infects the food of an entire garrison. Individually, they are insignificant, but together they bring cities to their knees. There is no equality inside the sect. There is biological specialization. If you prove your devotion, you get promoted. They might make you a necrophage. Your digestive system mutates, and you will regenerate the cult's wounds by literally devouring the corpses of dead enemies in the sewers. Or you become a toxer. Your lungs turn into chemical reactors. You won't be able to speak anymore. Your job is to walk the streets and exhale concentrated miasmas, killing every living thing for hundreds of meters around. You are a living weapon of mass destruction. You are the first stage of the invasion. You prepare the ground. Level 2. Biomass Poxwalker. The real war begins when the incubation period ends. The infection takes over. Your heart stops, you die, and an hour later you get up. Congratulations, you are now a Poxwalker, a victim of the walking pox. This isn't just a random virus. It's a masterpiece of warp bioengineering, the favorite creation of Typhus, first captain of the Death Guard. The walking pox spreads through the air, water, and even tainted stimulants. First comes the groaner stage. You seek warmth, you shiver, you attack people out of sheer desperation. Then the body dies and mutates. Horns sprout on your head, your flesh bloats, your bones soften, break, and then rapidly grow through your rotting flesh as jagged spikes. You gain inhuman resilience. Your task is to walk as a human shield into loyalist machine guns, taking bolter rounds to the chest. But here lies Nurgle's most terrifying mechanism. The walking pox kills the nervous system. It alters the flesh, but it doesn't touch your mind. Your consciousness is perfectly preserved. It's trapped inside your own rotting corpse. You see everything. You understand everything. Your jaw stretches into a wide, grotesque grin. A gurgling growl escapes your throat, and mentally, you are thrashing in hysterics. Your hands reach for the man you shared rations with yesterday. You tear his face off. You taste his blood. You're screaming inside your skull, but your body disobeys you. Why does Nurgle do this? Because the Chaos Gods feed on emotions. Your trapped, endless, silent despair is a battery. It generates energy for the warp. You're not a soldier, you're a portable grief generator. Level 3. The Saboteur Gellerpox. Let's say you're not a hive laborer. Let's say you're a void engineer. You serve on an Imperial cruiser. Your job is to monitor the Geller field generators. It's the only shield protecting the ship from absolute madness during a warp transit. Nurgle's followers don't waste resources boarding such vessels. They use the Gellerpox. It's a virus created specifically for one narrow purpose. It targets the minds of the operators. It all starts with dreams, a quiet whisper at the edge of your consciousness. You start to feel like the generator mechanisms are tired, that the Geller field is causing the ship pain, that you just need to pull the levers and let the machinery rest. You walk up to the console. You shut down the warp shields. In that exact second, reality on the ship bursts. Your body fuses with the control panel, turning into a pulsating biomechanical growth. The metal rusts and gets covered in throbbing organics. Out of your torn arteries, demons flood straight into the ship's corridors. Along with them come glitchlings, technological parasites that drive the remnants of the ship's systems insane. The crew is doomed. You've fulfilled your function. The door is open. Level 4, the Elite Death Guard. But what if you're an Astartes, a transhuman, the elite of the Imperium? 10,000 years ago, the 14th Legion, the Death Guard, fell into a trap. Your fleet got stuck in the dead calm of the warp. Your first captain, Typhus, turned out to be a mole who had already sworn himself to Nurgle. The Destroyer Plague hit you, a virus designed specifically to break transhumans. A normal human would have dissolved in a second. But you are Space Marines. Your genetics, your superhuman healing, fought the cosmic virus. The disease rotted your insides alive. Your flesh bloated and decayed, and your gene seed regrew it all over again. An endless, closed loop of unimaginable agony that you couldn't die from. You were the most resilient warriors in the galaxy. You prided yourselves on being able to endure any damage, and Nurgle used your pride against you. Your Primarch, Mortarion, broke. To stop the endless torture of his sons, he gave your souls to the god of decay. Since then, there are no ways back. As the Death Guard tallyman Philemon said, the gods do not break that law, tread the path to its end, or tread no path at all. They remember the light that went out 10,000 years ago, but they can no longer return. Now you are a Plague Marine. Your armor is covered in layers of filth, rust and pus, and toxic slime oozes from the cracks, melting enemy armor. Your structure is a mathematical model of the perfect pandemic. 7 plague companies. Sepsis cohorts are divided into 2 maledictums, which are divided into colonies. Each company is a distinct strain of the virus. The first company brings zombie viruses and hordes of poxwalkers. The second company brings the ferric blight, which devours tanks and armor. The third company prefers trench warfare of attrition. Commanders don't get ranks based on seniority. The Primarch personally hands out mantles of corruption. Got the mantle of contagion? You're a melee butcher lord hacking your way through trenches with a giant axe. Mantle of virulence? You command toxic artillery bombardments. Mantle of pox? Your goal is to infect the atmosphere with miasmas, and you appear on the battlefield merely as a pair of glowing lenses in a thick green fog. You are the most inexorable force in the universe. You don't charge into battle, you advance slowly. Your armor has rusted through, your intestines spill out, but you absorb damage that would tear any other army apart. You are no longer just soldiers. You are heavy biological warfare machinery. In your arsenal are plague tanks and grenades grown from severed heads, right on the branches of trees in Nurgle's garden. You shoot radiation, pus, and viruses, killing entire worlds. Level 5. The Ascended Daemon Prince. How does a mortal reach the top? How do you stop being a pawn and become immortal? Many cultists slit throats for corn, or weave intrigues for Tien. But for Nurgle to grant you daemonhood, petty mischief isn't enough. You have to think on a continental scale. Entire hive cities must drown in starvation and filth because of you. Millions must die in despair before grandfather's cloudy gaze stops on you. If your actions bring a smile to his bloated face, you will achieve ascension. But the irony of chaos is merciless. By gaining immortality, you lose your human form forever. Your body bloats to the size of a tank, growing tentacles and pus sacs. There's a grim piece of lore. When such a Daemon Prince returns to his home planet to visit his old cult, his former cell brothers simply don't recognize him. To them, he is a nameless, clanic horror. Here lies the main political drama of the faction. Mortarion, Primarch of the Death Guard, is a powerful Daemon Prince whose body has fused with his armor and grown giant moth wings. But deep down, he hates what he has become. He is a slave to necessity, forced to serve a god he despises. At the same time, Typhus, his first captain, is an absolute fanatic who genuinely loves Nurgle. Typhus has done more to spread plague than any other mortal. Demonic flies of the Destroyer Hive constantly swarm from within his body. But Nurgle intentionally doesn't make him a Daemon Prince. Why? It's classic intermittent reinforcement. Keep the dog hungry and it will serve better. Typhus will forever remain a herald, eternally chasing final approval he will never receive. Level 6. Auditors of Ruin Chaos, Bureaucracy. Mortal bodies wear out sooner or later. If you die from Nurgle's rut, your soul falls into the warp, right into the Garden of Decay, and there it is reborn as a lesser Daemon, a Plaguebearer. This is the most depressing level in the hierarchy. Chaos is anarchy, but Nurgle is obsessed with a twisted order. You are an accountant of death. You wander the battlefields with one clouded eye and one horn on your head, armed with a rusted sword whose touch rots flesh. Your sacred duty is to meticulously tally every new sore, every fly, and every person dead from infection across the galaxy in real time. But there's a catch. The warp is constantly changing, and worst of all, Nurglings are running all around you. These tiny, perpetually giggling microcopies of the boss with wide, toothy smiles work here as interns. They splash in puddles of pus, get tangled under your feet, overturn your records, and make you lose count. You get angry, you start over, and so on for eternity. Above you stands your boss, the Spoilpox Scrivener, a demon whose mouth has turned into a trunk megaphone so he can yell at you louder for every calculation error. He writes down your mistakes with a quill plucked from a lord of change. If you make mistakes too often, the system punishes you. You get infected with a rare disease, the churning murine. Your internal organs will turn inside out and become a demonic bagpipe. You will become a sloppity bile piper, a demonic clown whose only job is to skip among the gloomy accountants and tell jokes so pathetic and disgusting that the demons start working faster just to escape you. You are a living team-building instrument forged from pure pain and humiliation. Level 7. Broken Heart, Beast of Nurgle and Rot Fly. Sometimes the garden's energy spawns something else. An entity that was never human. A Beast of Nurgle. Imagine you are a giant toxic slug with the mind of a golden retriever. You don't understand the concept of war. You don't want to kill. You rush onto the battlefield because you see lots of new potential friends there. They scream, they run. You think it's a game. You want to snuggle and hug. Your tentacles reach for them with sincere joy. But your slime melts armor. Your hugs dissolve flesh to the bone. You pounce on an Imperial Guardsman to play, and he turns into a puddle of hissing biomass. You stop. You tilt your head. You don't understand why your new friends break so quickly. You get sad. You slither away to find someone sturdier. The cycle repeats hundreds of times. Eventually, your heart can't take it. The Beast of Nurgle realizes that nobody loves it. Driven by absolute crushing loneliness and depression, you crawl into the darkest thickets of the garden. You curl up into a cocoon made of your own slime and die of sorrow. And centuries later, the cocoon bursts, and out flies a rotefly. A gigantic, monstrous chickness insect. There is no trace of childish joy left in you. No desire to play. This fly is woven from pure absolute icy hatred toward all living things that once rejected its love. Now you hunt with your barbed proboscis. You pierce armor and pump toxins into your enemies. You kill deliberately to ease your eternal pain. Nurgle sometimes places a Plaguebearer on your back, granting the illusion of company. Level 8. Regional Directors, Great Unclean Ones. Having gone through demon evolution and proven your efficiency, you become a Great Unclean One. A general. Your body is a living mountain of necrosis. Hundreds of Nurglings live in your open wounds, joyfully feeding on your flesh. And you are no tyrant. You don't growl at subordinates like Khorne's demons. You manage them like a proud, caring grandfather at a family gathering. You praise the Plaguebearers for closing the quarterly report. You joyfully clap your hands when a new pandemic wipes out a hive. It works like an assembly line. 7 plague legions. The fecundous legions gather ingredients for new diseases in the warp. The infecticus legions tear through reality and introduce the virus. The pathogenous legions guard infected zones. Epidemic legions scale the infection to a planetary level. Rote legions decompose matter. Morbidus legions harvest souls, and the necroticus legions are the heavy tanks of hopelessness, putting down the final period. As a top manager, over time, you transfer from legion to legion, changing your job profile. If you show genius, you'll go down in history. You'll become someone like Kugath. He was once a simple Nurgling who accidentally fell into Nurgle's personal cauldron and drank the most perfect plague in the universe. Nurgle merely laughed, and Kugath swelled into a great Unclean one. Now he spends eternity maniacally trying to resynthesize the recipe for that very product, traveling on a palanquin of Nurglings. Or you become Rotigus, a being who comes to agri-worlds dying of drought. People pray for rain, and Rotigus gives them rain, a downpour of toxic pus and acid that drowns continents in slime. Your mere presence collapses empires, but even you are just a part in a massive machine. Level 9, the truth, the golden cage. Here we are at the top. Time to reveal Grandfather's main secret. Nurgle's cultists sincerely believe their god is a loving father. They are proud of their rotting guts. They call themselves a family. But this is the greatest lie in the universe. It's not love, it's a psychological racket on a cosmic scale. Nurgle finds you at rock bottom. He uses tactics painfully similar to real-world abuse, love bombing, and trauma bonding. He doesn't cure your diseases, he just turns off the pain, and he keeps the remote. His philosophy is utterly cynical. Hope is a scam, an illusion that leads only to disappointment. The only way to win is simply to give up. You become absolutely dependent. It's Stockholm Syndrome hard-coded into your DNA. If you try to leave, if your god deprives you of his protection for even a second, all the thousands of viruses that have accumulated in your body over the years will hit your nervous system simultaneously. You will die in an agony they haven't even invented a word for yet. As the Death Guard tallyman said, there are no ways back. You are not a free cultist. You are a hostage who genuinely fell in love with his leash. But the real horror hides not in mortal bodies. It resides in the center of the Garden of Decay. There stands Nurgle's crumbling mansion. Near his massive cauldron, Esha, the Eldar goddess of healing, languishes in a cage. Nurgle force-feeds her his new diseases to test their potency, while she secretly whispers cures for them into the universe. And in this mansion, there is a boarded-up room. Entry is forbidden to everyone. To tallymen Primarchs, even the oldest great Unclean ones. There are no recipes for new viruses there. There in absolute isolation, Nurgle hides his true nature, his pitch-black, paralyzing, existential depression. All this joy, the gurgling laughter of Nurglings, the festive atmosphere of the demons, the fatherly care, it's just a facade. A massive defense mechanism of an entity that understands the universe is a doomed corpse, and there is no salvation. They laugh endlessly just so they don't howl from primal terror at the void. Such is life in Nurgle's system. You started as a victim looking for a release from pain, and you ended up as a parasite in the mechanism of entropy, joyfully laughing at your own demise. There is no way out, so relax, drop your hands, and while your body slowly dissolves into reality, you can subscribe to the channel. Then again, it doesn't matter. Decay will eventually claim us, and this algorithm too. See you in the garden.